Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about annoying tourists that come to Japan. And I want to tell you about my experience with them. Um, so, of course, there's a lot of footage online of for tourists coming to Japan and doing inappropriate acts in different places of Japan, and breaking the rules and taking advantage of the niceness of Japan as a society, right? And shit like that still happens. It still happens now, and it still continues. And I'm gonna give you some of my experiences of me, what I've witnessed, what tourists have done. So I'll tell you a couple of stories. So recently, I went to Kyoto for 3-4 days, and I was staying at a hostel, right? And in the hostel, like in the dormitory rooms, right? You are not allowed to speak too loudly, right? Like those are one of the rules, especially after like a certain time. There's a curfew after like 9 or 10 or 11 p.m. You cannot talk. But some hostels are the rules are more strict in the sense that you cannot speak loudly at all in the dormitory rooms. So the one that I was staying at, the rules are pretty, strict in the sense that you can't make any like a lot. You can't make any noise. You can't speak to other people in the dormitory. You can't watch videos on your phone too loudly. And guess what? People were still doing it on the first night. Right? As soon as I go in, I'm about to, I get there by like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night, and it's time for me to get ready to sleep. As soon as I go into my little bunk, I'm hearing noise of somebody watching a video on YouTube, right? And I'm just like, it's not at such a loud volume, but the walls are pretty thin, and you can hear all the noise, right? And regardless of that, it's still annoying to hear. Like, why can't you just put headphones on and just like listen to whatever you're watching, right? It's like it's really easy. It's not that difficult, right? But no, he kept playing. He kept playing, watching his videos on his phone, and then I was like, you know what? Like I cannot take this. I'm gonna complain. So I went downstairs to the reception and I told them like, listen, there's somebody playing videos on their phone, like making a lot of noise. And he's like, okay, so I'll go tell them. I'll go tell them to not do that because it literally, when you go into this hostel, right? There's a book inside your dorm that tells you the rules. So I opened the book and I read the rules, and the top rule is like, do not make any noise, do not play any videos on your phone. Like this was like the rule in the book, right? So, anyways, yeah, I don't want to deal with this because I don't want to be a pushover and not say anything, and this is going to continue happening. So I complained, and he went up to I hope that he went up to the person and he told him not to do this again, right? So like, okay, cool. So I go back into my room, and yeah, there's no noise, so I go to bed. Now the next day, I step outside to grab some groceries, right? I want to grab something to eat at the convenience store. And when I come back, I see like 3 or 4 cop cars parked in front of the hostel where I'm staying at. So I'm like, oh shit, are they in the hostel where I am? Did something happen? Did something went down? And then I go inside and then I see like a bunch of like shoes, all taken off in front of the entrance way, right? So I'm like, oh snap, those must be the police officers. They must be in the hostel. I go up to the third floor where my dorm is, where my bunk is. And lo and behold, all like 4 or 5 police officers are in the area where I am. And they're all just standing there in front of someone's bunk. And I'm just like, whoa, what the hell? Like, was it because of me? Is it because I complained that they called the cops and they're gonna escort this guy out? Like that, like what's going on? So then I just mind my own business. I don't bother asking them what's going on because it's not my business. And then I go up to the fifth floor. So after I put my groceries and stuff in my room, in my dorm, I go to the fifth floor where you are allowed to speak. You are allowed to socialize. So they have a room where you're able to talk. So I go to the fifth floor, and there's some foreigners that are just sitting there chilling, and I decided to ask them. So I asked them like, "Hey, do you guys know why there's like 4 or 5 police officers on the third floor?" And one of the guys, he happened to be in the same floor as me, and he's like, "No, I don't know. I don't know what's going on." And then I asked him. I said like, have you noticed like there was a lot of noise on the floor where we're at? And he's like, "Yeah, bro, I complained." I'm like, "Oh snap! So I'm not the only one who complained about the noise, right? From the person using their using their phone." And but his reason why he complained was because they were talking. They were actually having a conversation. These two foreigners, and I don't want to be like racist or anything, but I think they were Europeans. But anyways, like that's besides the point. But like, yeah, they were. So he complained about them talking, and and then yeah, he wanted to check on the third floor as well and see what's going on with the police officers, right? So he goes down, and then he sees the cops too, right? And so now then we found out that they're actually escorting one of the guys out because he just like he got too many warnings, right? I was like, yes, thank you, thank you. Now I can sleep, right? No. The same night, now there were two other foreigners talking, like late at night, 12 o'clock, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, and I could still hear somebody watching like video, like watching like something on their phone and making sound. And I'm like, oh my god, seriously? That person who got escorted out, that wasn't the source of the problem. The problem's still there, right? So I was like, oh man, come on. So then the other guy, he's like, yo, that following morning, the next morning, he went up to me. He's like, bro, did you hear the noise last night? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I heard it. They were talking. They were on their phone. And he's like, you know what? This time I'm gonna complain. I'm gonna complain again. I'm like, all right, man, go do it. So he went down and he complained, right? And the guy at the reception, he was pretty receptive, and he went back. Then he's like, okay, so he went up and he was gonna talk to them. So he talked to them. And you could say that was the end of it, but I was there for 3 nights, right, in that hostel, and even still, there was still some sort of conversation that they were having at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they were talking like they weren't talking with this type of like volume, but they were like, yo, another speaking in their language, right? I don't know what language they were speaking, but they were speaking some sort of language, and this is the volume. This is the volume that they were talking at. But even then, like it's still against the rules, and everyone can still hear your conversation. Everyone can still hear you because there's like 15, 20 people in this one area, and the walls are very thin, and you need to respect the rules. Right? So what I'm trying to get at is that when you come to Japan or any other country, you need to follow the rules. You need to adhere to the rules and respect the rules. And it's crazy because a lot of people, unfortunately, they still don't, and it's annoying, and it makes all of us look bad, all the other foreigners look bad, even the foreigners who live in Japan. It makes us look bad when tourists come and they break the rules, right? And it's not good at all. It's not good. And so, anyways, I have another story. So when I left Kyoto, I went to Osaka for another couple of nights, right? I stayed at another hostel, and yeah, there was a bit of noise in the rooms, and but it wasn't too bad. Um, but a crazy situation happened. So at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I went to go take a piss, right? I went to go pee. And I hear this person like running into the bathroom. The dude was in his like boxer shorts, runs into the stall, you know, like the stall to like take a shit or a piss or whatever. I think he took a piss. And he like slammed the door. This is at like 4 o'clock in the morning. He runs in, bang, takes a piss, gets out, bangs the door, bang, bangs the door again, and then runs back into the dorm, right? And I'm like, come on, bro, are you serious? Like, I get that you're desperate to take a piss, but man, come on, just relax. Like, close the door slowly, dude. Yeah, I'm never staying at a hostel in Japan ever again after these. It's like I'd rather pay like a little more money just to stay, have my own little room, and not have to deal with all this noise and the snoring and the people talking overnight and people watching their videos on their phone. It's just a nuisance. It's very annoying. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much my story of staying in hostels in Japan. And yeah, anyways, peace.